Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to one of our Innovations Lab sessions around virtual and augmented reality. I hope you guys are as excited as I am for this. Hopefully all of you saw the video that Mark played today at the general session, so you kind of get a taste for some of the innovations that are coming through this program. Quick question. Up until today or yesterday, who had not heard about Innovations Lab? Okay, I'm glad we can reach you here. So my name is Michelle Miller. I lead a solutions innovation team here at Magento. And we're really excited about this program. We launched it last year, really focused around community-driven innovation and all of the amazing work that's being done by our community and trying to figure out how do we encapsulate that, how do we harness that, how do we find out what the community members are working on and elevate that to help inspire not just ourselves and how we develop our products, but how do we inspire the greater community. So this is the result of our first cohort from the Innovations Lab program last year. So excited to get you guys a little more exposed to what we're working on. Another thing to point out is that the second submission window for Innovations Lab is currently open, and it will be open until May 18th. So if you haven't been by the Innovations Lab lounge in the marketplace, please stop by. We're trying to have somebody there at all times. If someone isn't there, there's a video playing all the time that shows all the innovations. There are kiosks on the other side where we have the showcase up so you can view all the innovations and ask anyone with the Magento badge about Innovations Lab, and they'll be happy to give you some further information. So that's our little plug. Another point is just asking you to hold your questions until the end. We're going to have an extended Q&A session at the end, so we've planned appropriate time for that. So we will have two presentations today. There will be a dramatic pause between those presentations while we switch out some of the technology, but we just ask for your patience there. And with that, I am going to introduce our speakers. So we have Irfan from Specs, who's going to be presenting first, and then we also have Aigars from ScannyWeb, and they're going to be presenting both of their innovations. So I hope you guys enjoy, and we'll look forward to Q&A at the end. Thank you.
All right. A journey into AR commerce, and specifically we'll look at how augmented reality fits into the online eyewear market. Can I please get a hands up? Who wears glasses? Don't be shy. Okay, that's cool. It's about 50% of the room. That looks about right. All right, so my name is Irfan Imani. I am the lead developer at Specs. I've been involved in e-commerce and specifically developed on Magento for over 6 years, and I'm really excited about this position at Specs because I think we're at the forefront of something new. We can really impact the way consumers buy eyewear online, and I'll show in a couple of slides how we can do that. Does this look familiar? This is how eye tests worked in 1941. And this is how they work in 2018. But seriously, I think the device is white now. So I'm sure there's been more progress in this, but I really like this image because it's symbolic for how little change there has been in a traditional retail model of eyewear. Right, let's paint a familiar picture. You walk into an optometrist, you get your eye test done, and you walk out of that little optometrist room, and a salesperson comes up to you, and you buy your glasses right there and then. And you walk out, and usually, this cycle repeats itself every time you get a new eye test, which is, what, one year or 2 years? So what's the problem with that? Well, compared to other industries, a small percentage of eyewear sales is completed online. And obviously there's a demand for buying goods online, but we're just not seeing it in the eyewear market. And the other issue is that online conversion rate of eyewear is worse than other consumer goods. Okay, so at Specs, we don't think it has to be that way. We think, you might want to change your glasses more often, similar to how you change any other fashion accessory, really. And but we also think there's a couple barriers to that. Okay, so first of all, we think that people are very visual, right? You don't want to look at product photography because it's very hard to visualize how a specific pair looks on your face. You might like the photo of a frame, but it might not work with your face shape. If you look at the phone of a typical 16-year-old that has visited an eyewear store, there will be like 1,000 selfies. And they'll share these selfies with their friends on WhatsApp and Messenger and get their opinions on it. So being able to see how glasses look on your face is really important to make a decision. And secondly, certain prescription lenses are better bought in store. And this is an important point I will explain further. Okay, so if this kid bought this pair of glasses online, they probably, they wouldn't fit first of all, but the lenses will be a bit blurry. Right, it's very likely that the lenses will be blurry. And the reason for that is that the optical dispenser, right, the person that makes the lenses, that person makes an assumption about where the pupil sits in relationship to the lens. And this is an extreme example, but if you have a high strength prescription, if you need a high strength prescription, or if you get advanced lens types like multifocals or bifocals, this problem is a lot worse. In fact, it's very likely that you'll buy a pair of multifocal lenses online and you'll put them on, and they won't be as clear as if you had gotten them through a retail store. All right, so at Specs, we've introduced an app, an Android and iOS app where you can virtually try on glasses, so the glasses appear on your face in real time. It takes your measurements, right? And this is an important point because the measurements might be different for each product, right? Because it's the distance of your pupils, but also the distance of your pupil and the bottom of the lens. And also customers can add prescription and checkout, right? It's got your basic e-commerce functionality. And these measurements will come through the order into Magento. Okay, no, it doesn't store your photos on our servers. There's not like a human that looks at a photo of you with a ruler. Everything's calculated on your device itself. Right? It tracks your face, it detects your face, and all the calculations are done on the device itself, and it only sends through the specific measurements that are needed to give you really clear optical lenses. This is a live demo, well, not live, but you can see I'm scrolling through a horizontal list of products. So this is your normal product listing page, and instead of looking at product photography, I'm scrolling, I see the glasses on my face. And so this app is available right now, but only in Australia. So apologies to the rest of the world. It's the first time Australia gets something that the US doesn't. Okay, a couple other features. So the customer can fully customize their lenses. They can add a lens coating, add-ons. And due to Magento's flexibility, we've got full control of the price. So there's over hundreds of pricing combinations possible. And secondly, we've got prescription management, so you can add a prescription on a cart item basis. And your prescription will be pre-filled by the values that are obtained through the virtual try-on. Okay, so how do we do all of this? First of all, we have to digitize our entire catalog. And it's harder than it sounds, especially if you have a lot of products. We strive towards having 100% of our catalog digitized. And it's hard because 3D scanners aren't really good yet. So essentially we have to create every pair from scratch, every single time. And this is challenging, especially in fashion, or I should say fast fashion, where product turnover is well, very high as you imagine. So this is a challenge that we're dealing with. In the future, we hope to streamline this so we can onboard new products more easily. Again, from a developer perspective, how is the app structured? So we've got our face tracking and detection library. We work together with a partner that does the R&D for this. And we have opted for a hybrid approach. Right? We've used web technologies where possible and native technologies where necessary. And what this allows us to do is to minimize the development time. Because, as you know, app development is very expensive. You have to recreate your entire front end essentially 3 times. Once for the web, once for native, or once for iOS, and 1 time for Android. Right? So we opted for a hybrid approach, which essentially acts as an iframe. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with it, but the Magento 2 front end is being pulled through a web view in a native app. So the checkout and the cart is managed by Magento, and the rest, the product listing and the virtual try-on, of course, is fully native. Right, it's actually C++ code that runs directly on your device itself. In the future, we hope to replace the web view part with a progressive web app to give it a bit more of that app feel. Right? Even though it works okay now, but you can sort of still notice it's like a web page loading through an app. So it's not as slick as I would like. So hopefully with Magento 2.3, I'll be looking into that. All right, so what is the result? And I have to apologize because Specs is a startup. We were founded in 2016, and it's a startup in every sense of the word. Right? We're backed with mostly by outside capital, founded in 2016. And we only launched this a couple months ago. So we only started selling glasses a couple months ago. So we don't have that much data yet. And I'm sure all of you are eager to hear conversion rates, hopefully next time. But from a product perspective, so what we've delivered is a virtual try-on, fully integrated with e-commerce, fully customizable lenses, and the measurements are sent through with the order into Magento, so an admin person can take that information and create lenses that are super clear and fully fit the customer. So with that, thanks for listening, and I will introduce our next speaker, Aigar.
So yeah, while working with one of our partners, we managed to merge old-fashioned customer experience together with something pretty brand new. I will be sharing the story today with you. In 1977, Goldstein family, living north of Washington, D.C., inspired by the idea of crafting teak benches out of old rescued sailing decks, began to design park benches within British veneer and technique. Hand-painted sign at the entrance road of the property identified it as a Country Casual. They offered their furniture through the Country Casual catalog already then in 1977. Now, 41 years later, Country Casual Teak is one of the preferred outdoor furniture sources in the United States, still run by the same family. Actually, we met Country Casual here in Imagine 6 years ago. I was pretty confident that the value of catalog is going to drop like Bitcoin nowadays, because all the new technologies like relatively new responsive web design, fast internet, overall internet availability, the cost of the internet, those are pretty accessible. But yeah, I was pretty wrong. The importance of catalog remained essential for the company throughout the years, till now. Yeah, that's how it looked. So for the furniture, seeing it within real nature, within the real setting, being able to touch and feel all the colors, pattern, teak, it's highly essential for the customer experience and also for the sales funnel. So how do we do it? How do we achieve this one step bit closer to our potential customer? Well, we introduced the ability to order samples online. So now anyone can pick the color, the pattern, teak, whatever they would like to, ship over to their house and look at it in proper daylight. Also, what we observed is that very rare merchants and businesses actually is doing samples. And I don't know why, because the success rate from samples to customer, that's really high, really high. One of other case studies that it's around 60% of our customers. So that's pretty impressive. So who you remember Google Glasses and how they were about to change the way we live our lives, right? Yeah. So every year there's some new hot technology, innovation, media picks up on and goes about on and on and on, and like blockchain, it's hot, token economy, everything, right? We are trying and playing with most of those. At the same time, we are looking at it from customer point of view. So how this innovation can complement e-commerce. So at that time, we picked VR. We chose VR because potentially it's what we needed. Ability to ensure our potential customer, the environment, the real setting of the furniture where it should be. Yeah, at the time, it was 2015 when we started work on it. There were no similar examples. There were no case studies, there were no one to look at, there were nothing. Only VR experience was within apps. We were even told that it's not possible. Well, why not we just give it a try? Why not to try? Well, yeah, within 2 weeks, using 3JS, JavaScript 3D library, which helps us to manipulate WebGL and creates needed 3D object using HTML5 canvas element, we had our first prototype ready. It took a while we went through the testing phase because there are many devices, screen resolution, screen sizes, and while 360 looks good on your screen, actually it can make you a bit dizzy due to a number of reasons. But we did it. So yeah, all right, good. So at that point we had our VR experience ready, deployed on the website, working fine. On the other hand, we still have our catalog users, right? And the experience there being the same for 40 plus years, right? So we decided to create and put QR code right into the catalog, allowing our offline users to jump straight to VR experience if they want to. This is the way how we merged both offline, online, and VR experience. And the results were nice. Results were really good. Users are more than double as likely to make a purchase if they have viewed VR experience. On average, they also bought about 60% more, and revenue per user increased by 231%. Yeah, so who of you would like to see how it all works together? Yeah, so I was advised against live demos, so there's a video.
For richer user experience, we've made the first non-application but web-based VR solution for Country Casual Teak. You can experience this as a 360 panorama view. Use your mouse to click and drag around. However, this is best used with VR device. You can use Oculus Rift or similar supported device, or use your VR-compatible smartphone device. Now you can experience virtual reality of Country Casual Teak finest catalogue.
Well, thank you for your time. We are both available at the marketplace, so any questions and live demos there if you'd like to see us and meet.
So we can obviously see some pretty amazing things coming in the future. Wanted to open up for questions, but first I'd like to introduce, we do have some merchant representation here as well. So we have Jimmy Yoon, who is the CIO for Country Casual Teak. So come on up, Jimmy, join the panel. And would love to get some questions, so hopefully you guys have some. Awesome.
Thanks. On that last one, what wasn't totally clear to me is, what's the integration with Magento like? I mean, I'm seeing the technology being used, but how does it actually integrate with Magento?
So basically Magento is pretty modular, and it's really easy to plug in anything there. So we just use 3D JavaScript library, and we connected it with VR. And then we further on connected with product catalog. So there's a list of items available for purchase within each experience. So yeah, catalog of Magento.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for asking a question about VR, because I thought my name is on the board, but I thought I was going to walk out without saying anything. So thank you very much. At the same time, I'm not the developer. I'm a CIO for the company, so I can't really answer the technical questions, but questions like this I can answer. VR representation of our products are not really Magento specific. However, the reason that we, first of all, went with the Magento was because first, we were actually using the .NET platform before, custom-built .NET platform. But one of the reasons that we chose to go with Magento is because the development process is much faster, where we had to build something and add to the .NET solution before it took months. And that, for us, as CIO as well, as I also ran the marketing department for a while. But when the opportunity comes, for example, the technology like it comes, we need to jump on and really implement it right away. To be able to take the opportunity and hopefully monetize the solution. Magento, obviously, it's not a specific Magento, but it's really easy for us to actually create something and plug right into the Magento. So hopefully that answers your question. Again, thank you for asking the question.
Anyone else have any questions?
Are you still publishing your paper catalogs as well?
Yes, we do. So, gentleman asked if we're still publishing our catalogs, and one of the things that I can let me give you a little bit of the catalog industry. I've been with the catalog industry for a while. Catalog is still, till this day, still the #1 driver for us, especially for the B2B industry. We're trying to actually go into the digital world, but still the #1 driver. What we do see, however, is that the people who actually receives our catalog, and we do actually have the call center in-house too, but a lot of those B2C, especially B2C customers, are actually receiving our catalogs and actually go to the website and order it from us. So we cannot totally eliminate the catalog. It's actually important driver for us. At the same time that we're also redistributing our marketing budget from catalog to different things. And so this year, it's actually starting from last year, we really tried to put a lot of money into the digital world. But the answer to your question, yes, we do.
Hi, I've had a question about AR. I'm wondering what barriers prevent running AR natively in the browser? Like, why do you have to make an app specifically for that?
Right, that's a good question. The AR technology for face detection is actually very resource intensive, and there's very few companies that can actually do it on a decent level, right? Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, being some of them. And well, first of all, they don't have a web app, but essentially, yeah, it's just really, really resource intensive. And you've got WebAssembly now, which is it compiles web technologies to native, machine code essentially, and that's very limited at this stage. So it doesn't connect to a lot of the APIs, the web APIs. So you can't stream, raw data from your camera, for example. And so there's a lot of barriers. Also, WebAssembly, I think, is like super early, super beta technology. But really, AR and face tracking is quite fascinating. There's so many layers to it. There's adaptive technologies, and it's very hard. Like, the main challenge with AR is to make it performant on consumer hardware, right? Because this has existed for ages, in the film industry, for example. But only recently it's been able to come onto consumer hardware with Snapchat and Instagram, and it's only because the devices have become faster, but mostly it's because of technology. The algorithms have become more efficient on running on consumer hardware, and so that's like the main thing. It's just too resource intensive.
Regarding your VR setup and how that's set up in Magento, have you explored any navigation within the VR application, either clickable elements inside of it, or maybe related products from within that, and be able to navigate between different product lines within your product selection?
I'm sorry, what was the first question, the first part?
So it's about, have you explored navigating within the VR instance either by clickable elements or even by voice, I guess you could do it that way, towards other products in your catalog to show related products within your own catalog?
That's a very good question, because we actually did look into the solutions like that. First of all, the difficulty of providing that kind of solution right onto the image is extremely hard. First of all, so as Agar was explaining, we started playing with this in 1995, and it actually started out as a prototype where I actually gave a lot of money to our IT people, to play with many different technologies, right? We sell outdoor furniture, so we're not really technology driven, right? So what we do is we give a chunk of money to each person, say that go out and play with whatever you want. I don't care if you're playing with the games, hopefully not. Whatever it is, like Xbox, whatever. And one of the guys that I work with actually was really into VR as well as AR. So that's back in 1995, and that's when actually these VR devices are really coming out. We bought the Oculus demo or developer devices, as well as regular versions of Vive. We even bought the HoloLens for AR, which we're kind of playing with. We also bought a few different types of the projector. We're trying to see if we can project AR images right onto our showroom to see if they can actually see it. The problem with these newer technologies is that it's extremely hard to implement because for us, at the time that there was no one actually was doing this kind of stuff. Right from the beginning, I'll get to your answer soon after this. Right from the beginning, we ran into multiple issues. For example, we started to create these telescopic images, right? And we had no idea how the effect of parallax was, meaning that how we see two eyes to see the images projecting to our frame, and the angle difference or distance between those images are really giving us the depth perception, right? We had no idea. So when we created it, and like, oh my God, this is great. We are going to create these images and put it on the device, and we're seeing double images. Had no idea. So there was a bit of a learning curve how to accommodate that kind of issues, right? Second, for example, also when we finally we solved a lot of those issues, and we got to the web, then we were pretty much didn't know how to actually create the menu system, right? On the 360 view on the desktop, it's easy because we're using mouse to drag over in a drag and you really see everything. But once you move over to the phones, there's no mouse, right? So naturally, we're trying to be efficient with our time. We're trying to go for other companies. What are they doing? And virtually, there's no examples whatsoever. So Scan the Web user UI person and us went back and forth to see what is the most efficient way for us to provide the menu system for our customers to really navigate through our system. And at that time, we were trying to actually insert some of those tags within the image. We can actually, now we understand the parallax, now how we can actually insert the images right onto the two images and calculate the distance and the angle. We can actually put some kind of a menu right on top of the images. But it was taking so much time because I can't really calculate. Every image is different, right? So I can't really calculate the distance or the angle. So we had a cool idea we can do it. When someone asked, we said, yeah, we play with it, we can do it. Well, we decided not to do it. So hope that gives you answers the question.
Anyone else have a question? Yes.
I was just wondering if you considered any further integrations for the VR side of things to potentially allow customers to do instant purchase now that that's available. If you log in on your device and you like the product, you can just check out right from the VR view.
That's a very great idea. Thank you very much. We do have on the VR menu, which I think is really cool. That was many iterations going through. We actually tested with many different people. One of the things that we do provide in VR is because, we're doing this it's 100% cool, but we also do want to promote our products as well as we want to sell those products. So one of the things we've done was we actually have a separate tab. I don't know if you guys seen it. You go to the separate tab, we actually list all the products on the image. You can click and go through each individual product to buy it. But the idea you're saying is much more, I guess, for the user perspective, much more easy and for the customers. So maybe we'll work with it together.
Next to do.
Hi there. Regarding AR, how far do you believe that we are from selling clothes online, like a dress, for instance, where, especially in the occasion of fast fashion, as you told already, it is just not possible to draw everything in 3D. As far as I believe, it would take too much time and effort. So digitalize, a way to digitalize those products would be the best approach. So I need to understand if you believe that we are near from that, or we are still years from this kind of technology to be available for a more broad solution.
Good question. I think, so clothing is very hard, like you said, because you've got all your physics and the type of material, the way it stretches, the way it fits around your body, and even just tracking, like where your body is, So it's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. I think we're quite a bit far away from that, because face tracking it's starting to get common, right? Snapchat and Instagram, and you've got your touch points. You've got your 2 eyes, and your nose, and your ears. So it's generally speaking, it's it's in line with whatever the algorithms. With body tracking, it's like, I'm not too sure, to be honest, but I can see, like, with everything to take into account with clothing, the material, the way it stretches, and like you said, fast fashion, right? The turnover of products is just so much higher, so it becomes really complicated. Yeah, but it's a great question, and there's been a lot of talk about projecting clothing on people, but I'm not entirely sure how far they're with that. But it's definitely something to look out for in the future.
All right, so I have a question for you guys. So we've talked a lot about the amount of time, right, to create some of these solutions that they're, fairly time intensive. Can you guys talk a little bit, and I'd like to hear from both of you, about what were some of the pleasant surprises that you found along your experience creating these innovations?
The pleasant surprises. With any new emerging technology and being, I don't know if I can actually say, being to lead the charge, we run into a lot of unknown issues, right? Like a parallax issues, a lot of menu system. It was something that we kind of expected, but it was kind of surprising that how hard it is to come up with the first solution. So that was kind of surprising. But at the same time, it's also very pleasing that we are actually coming up with our own solution that many other people can actually follow too.
So from our side, it's interesting because so this AR technology, we've sort of built our business around that. Like that should be core of our business, right? Especially getting the measurements online. But what we found is that people are like, oh, these are the guys that do the app, right? And they're like, no, it's like, oh, this is super cool. But then they go on a website and they just buy glasses how they do it normally. So it's acting more like a marketing thing, like a validation. We qualify our business by having something like this, but then somehow they just go on a desktop and just order it the normal way. So this was a surprise, but it's interesting to see that, some people do know exactly what pair they want and do know exactly their size and know their prescription and they know their pupillary distance and they go on the website anyway. But that validates the VR, the AR validates the concept.
That's a great point as far as how do you know if you're building something that's just really cool, or are you actually building something that's going to enhance the customer experience?
Useful,
Does anyone else have any questions?
So we're in a very similar industry coming out of Canada. So our users tend to be on the more elderly side of the spectrum. Do you have demographics that show how many people use your VR versus not, and what the tranche is on ages?
Well, I know the target. First of all, when you think about our products, we sell luxury teak outdoor furniture. So definitely not for me. Sorry, Dana. My boss is right here. But my wife loves our products, but they're also very expensive. So our demographic tends to be elder, not really old, but female with a lot of money, obviously, to afford our products. But as far as the VR goes, not quite sure. We just implemented last year, so we're kind of collecting the data right now. Once we do a full cycle, right now this is our busy season. Our busy season starts from the March. April, May is the busiest season for us, so we're trying to collect as much data as possible, so that solutions like the gentleman suggested, maybe Facebook, we have to do a lot of data analysis to see if that's really feasible for us, but unfortunately we don't have the data yet.
All right, guys, I think that's going to bring us just about to time. So I want to thank Jimmy and Aigars and Irfan for spending some time with us today, and thank all of you for coming. And please stop by the lounge. Peace out.